You ever wonder how some language teachers just get it? How they can take something so complicated and somehow make it click in your brain? Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's not magic. They have a playbook, a set of proven rules that guides every single thing they do. And today, we're going to open it up and see what's inside.
Oh man, we've all been there, right? You're staring at these endless vocabulary lists, wrestling with grammar rules. It can feel like you're trying to climb this massive, impossible mountain, and you don't even have a map. But what if I told you there is a map?
And that's the whole thing. The best teachers, they're not just winging it. They are following a playbook packed with time-tested principles for how to actually teach a language effectively. And look, understanding this playbook isn't just for teachers. It can totally revolutionize how you learn too.
So where does this playbook even begin? Well, it all starts with one absolutely non-negotiable rule. The one thing that has to be there before a single word of a new language can truly be learned.
It's motivation. Simple as that. This is the engine. It's the drive. Whether it comes from inside you or from some outside goal, that powers this whole journey. You know, without it, the car is just not going to start. That's why you have to figure out your why before you even touch the how.
And this motivation, it really comes in two flavors. First, you've got intrinsic motivation. That's your inner fire, right? Learning just for the pure joy of it. Maybe you want to read your favorite book in its original language. Then you've got extrinsic motivation. That's all about the external prize, getting a promotion, acing an exam, or hey, maybe just impressing someone. Both are super powerful, but you've got to have at least one of them to get off the ground.
I absolutely love this quote from the source material because it's just so true. Think about it. You could try to take all the slow, winding back roads to learn a language, but motivation, that's the straight shot. It's the multi-lane superhighway that gets you to your destination way faster than anything else.
All right, so our motivation engine is fired up and ready to go. Now, let's pop the hood and look at how our brain actually builds these language skills. This is where we get into the real nuts and bolts of it all.
Now, this right here is a massive mental shift. We're so used to thinking of language as just another school subject, like history or math, but it's not. It's a skill. It's built on muscle memory. I mean, you don't learn to ride a bike by reading a book about it, do you? No, you get on the bike. Language is exactly the same.
And that leads us straight to our first building block, creating habits. Learning a language is really all about building good habits through lots and lots of repetition. It's about drilling things like correct pronunciation over and over until you don't even have to think about it anymore. It just becomes second nature.
Building block number 2 is imitation. We are literally hardwired to copy what we see and hear. Just think about how a little kid learns to talk, by mimicking their parents, right? Well, in a classroom, the teacher is that model. And this is why a teacher's own accent and intonation are so crucial, because students are going to copy exactly what they hear.
And the third core idea is the oral approach. This is all about the natural order of learning. As kids, we speak for years before we ever learn our ABCs. Good language teaching follows that same natural path. You focus on speaking and listening first. It's the fastest way to really get a feel for the rhythm and sounds of a new language.
Okay, so now we know why we're learning, and we know how our brains are wired to learn, so let's switch gears and put on our teacher hat. How do you take this enormous, overwhelming thing called a language and break it down into a smart, manageable plan?
I mean, this sounds so obvious, but it's a huge challenge. A language has, what, hundreds of thousands of words? You can't just start at page 1 of the dictionary and go. The real art of teaching is being super selective and really systematic about what you introduce and in what order.
And here's exactly how they do it. It's a 2-step process. Step 1 is selection. Teachers pick words based on things like how frequently you'll actually use them. You know, you're going to learn the word book way before you learn the word encyclopedia. Makes sense, right? Step 2 is gradation. That's just about putting things in a logical order. You learn the present tense before you start messing with the past or the future.
And the last piece of the strategy is all about exposure. A kid learns their native language because they're swimming in it 24/7. A great teacher knows this, so they try to create a little mini immersion bubble right there in the classroom. They use charts, audio, activities, anything to surround the student with the language as much as possible.
So we've covered the big, overarching rules. Now let's zoom in a little. We're going to get into the final part of the playbook, the actual on-the-ground techniques that teachers use in the moment to deliver all this stuff effectively.
And before we do, it's really important to get this one distinction. Principles are the what. Those are the big, fundamental rules we've been talking about, like motivation. Maxims are the how.
They're the specific, hands-on methods you use to present the information so that our brains can actually absorb it.
Here is a perfect example of a maxim in action. A smart teacher always moves from the concrete to the abstract. You start with stuff you can literally see and touch, like an apple or a ball. It's only way later that you start getting into these big, abstract ideas that you can't hold in your hand, like honesty or freedom.
Now, this maxim is a real game changer, especially for learning grammar. First, you've got the inductive method. That's where the teacher shows you a bunch of examples and your brain starts to naturally figure out the pattern before you're even told the rule. Then there's the deductive method, which is the opposite. You get the rule first, then you see the examples. For beginners, that inductive example-first approach is almost always the way to go.
Okay, so quick pop quiz. Let's say a teacher shows you sentences like he is running, she is eating, and they are playing. And then she explains the rule about verbs ending in ing. Which method is she using? Yep, you got it. That's the inductive method. You see the examples first, then you get the rule.
So there you have it. We've taken a peek inside the teacher's secret playbook. We've seen the big principles and the clever maxims. But what does all this mean for you, the person who's actually trying to learn a language? Let's boil this all down into your own personal playbook.
All right, let's build your playbook right now. First things first, find your motivation. Seriously, figure out your why. Next, treat this like a skill. Build habits with daily practice. And don't be shy. Start speaking from day one. Be smart about what you learn, focus on the most common words first. And finally, when you hit a wall with grammar, hunt for the pattern in the examples before you get lost in the rules.
You've got the blueprint now. You know the strategies the pros use to make learning actually stick. So the only question left is this. Knowing what you know now about how language learning really works, what are you going to do differently?